Hi, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Identity in 15 powered by WSO2 Identity Server. So today's topic will be customized event processing in WSO2 Identity Server. And this will be quite useful to you if you're trying to add custom logic to the Identity Server to cater to any of your custom requirements. About myself, my name is Ashen De Silva, and I'm a senior software engineer at WSO2. So let's get started. Let's first talk about the eventing framework. The WSO2 Identity Server eventing framework consists of two parts. Firstly, it can be used to trigger identity server events, such as user operation events like pre or post user addition, or pre or post claim setting, etc. Also, it is capable of supporting handlers, which can be used to capture those published events and carry out operation based on those events. So let's talk about what an event is. So a WSO2 Identity Server event can be defined as an instance of a specific action carried out by a user or the system, which also encapsulates details relevant to this action. So for example, there's an event called pre-authentication. This event gets triggered or a user tries to authenticate or log in using the identity server. So as opposed to that, there's also the post-authentication event, which is triggered after the user tries authenticating with the system. So these events also contains other information such as related to the event, such as, let's say in this case, there will be the authenticated user's username and the event type and other such relevant details. So similarly, there are other events like pre-set user claims and post-set user claims, which is triggered before setting user claims and after setting user claims respectively, and pre-add user, post-add user, etc. So for the full list, so if you want to find the full list of the available identity server events, it can be found using the documentation given in the link here. So what is an event handler? An event handler is used to perform the operation based on those published events. So basically, event handlers are used to implement your custom requirements for those for any required event. So to further explain about all of what I just said, I'll be using an example scenario. In this case, the example scenario that I'll be using is to assign a custom role to a user upon user registration. So what this means is that I'm trying to, when a user tries to self-register or an admin register a user, the custom role, a custom role needs to be automatically assigned to that user once the registration gets completed. So let's see how we can get this done using a custom event handler. So to demonstrate how to implement your own custom event handler, I'll be using the template given in our samples repository. So if you head over to WSO2 samples as repository, and down here in the templates directory, custom identity event handler, you'll be able to find the template that I'm referring to. So once you clone and get that set up, we'll look into how we can use this template to implement our custom logic. So you can either use this template that we've provided in our samples, or you can also use or create your own handler from scratch, but you need to make sure to follow these steps. In the event handling class that you implement, you need to make sure that it extends the abstract event handler class, which is imported from the org WSO2 Carbon Identity event package from the Carbon Identity Framework repository. If you go to the POM file, you'll be able to find the dependency that imports that packet. So next, you need to make sure that you override the following methods as well. The first is get name. This method returns the unique name of your custom handler. So this needs to return a unique string when compared to the rest of the names of the available event handlers in the identity server. This needs to be unique because I'll be explaining that later in this video. Yeah. The next method that you need to override is the get priority method. This returns an int value which represents the priority of your handler in descending order. So what that means is that the higher the value of this integer, the lower the priority of execution will be of your handler. So 1 means highest priority. So as it increases, your priority will decrease. And finally, we come to where we implement our custom logic, which is the handle event method. So as you can see here, there's a bit of custom logic that we've added. Firstly, what we do is we check for the event type that this handler captures. So we do this because we can use a single handler to subscribe to several different types of events. And if that is the case, we need to add an if block or a switch block, switch statement, which executes different logic based on the specific type of event that you require. So here, what we have done is we extract the username from the identity event properties. Yeah, the event properties. And we pass that to our custom method that we've implemented, which will assign a new role to that newly created user. So this is that method. Yeah, I've added a few log statements so that we'll be able to see what goes on in the identity server by analyzing the console logs when we trigger these events. So that's a bit about the event handler class. So to make sure that is registered properly to the identity server, you need to implement these two classes as well. So these classes hold the OSGI logic for registering the event handler. So what's important here are the activate and set realm service methods, which are used to register this event handler as an OSGI service in the identity server. So once all this is done, now we can build our event handler. It'll take a couple of seconds for this to be completed. Yeah, it's complete. So let's head over to the target directory and find the newly built jar. There it is. And we need to set it up in your identity server. We need to copy this jar to the repository components drop-in folder in your ISPAC. Yeah, so we got that copied over. And now before we start the server and test this, we need to add some configurations to get this event handler working. So let's open the deployment terminal file found in repository conf. Yeah, repository conf folder. And we need to add this config down at the bottom. So the breakdown of this configuration will be like this. What it does is this for the name attribute, we need to give the unique name that we assigned to the getName method in our handler class. so which is custom user registration. And next, we need to add the event name in the subscription array. So what happens here is the identity server subscribes this event handler to these events given in the subscriptions array. So this is why this name needs to be unique to prevent it clashing with any other event handler names. So yeah, so once that the configuration is done, we can go ahead and save this. Okay, and now let's start the server. Let's wait about a minute until this gets started. A little bit more to go. Okay, now the server is up. So let's get to testing. Let's head over to the management console. So to recap, our example scenario is we need to automatically assign a customized role or a new role to a user upon registration. So first, let's create our role. So this role name will be the same role name that we specified in our handler logic. So if we head over back to the custom user self-registration handler class, the role that we're assigning is internal/custom role. So yeah, here we edit, check whether the roles list of that particular user does not contain that role, and we update the roles list of a user with that role. Okay, so it's identity/custom role. And please note that this is case sensitive. So yeah, that's correct. Now let's add a user. So let's add a user called Ashane and click finish. So user addition registration is successful. If we head over to our console, we'll be able to see the logs. So it says your custom user self-registration handler has been triggered, and custom user self-registration handler is handling the post add user event. And yeah, down here we can see that the custom role has been assigned to the user Ashay. So we can verify this if we head over to the management console and list the users that were created. And let's check our role. Yeah, you can see that internal/custom role has been assigned to our user. So this is a bit about how to implement your own event handler to process custom logic. In the next video, I'll be doing another session on how to implement and fire custom events. So in comparison to this video, what I did here was I implemented a custom event handler to capture already existing events in the identity server and execute some custom logic. So in the next video, it will be how to implement and fire custom events so that it can be captured by a custom handler to process any custom logic that you need. So now, so that's it about that. And now it's time to answer some questions regarding what I just did. There don't seem to be any questions. So if you do have any questions, feel free to join our Slack channel and post them there. We'll be sharing the link in the description down below. So that's it about implementing your custom event handlers on Identity Server. So see you next time with the second part of this video. Thanks.